How's it going, everybody? Welcome to some more stolen content. It's me, HoodlumCallum, and we're stealing Anthony Fantano's content today. I'm just playing, obviously. I mean, we technically are. So Anthony Fantano, he's a music reviewer, and he has this series where he goes on Twitter and he argues. I guess use that term. The series is called Let's Argue, and basically he asks for hot takes, opinions, questions, and he just replies to them in videos. And it's a series I've always watched regularly, even if I actually know nothing about what he's talking about. I just like hearing him, I guess, reply to people. And I always wanted to try and do it myself, and now, I'm sitting here, it's late at night, and I'm like, damn, I need to make a video for tomorrow. What should I do? And I saw it on my list, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. So I asked on Twitter for some Pokemon hot takes. Obviously, I've gotten quite a lot of replies so far. I can't reply to all of them. I can only reply to 1% of them, if anything, if even that. But if this is something you guys enjoy, of course, I can do it regularly. Just let me know, because there's a lot of opinions on Pokemon that people have, and I figured it would be cool to just reply to some of your opinions on Pokemon, or questions, or hot takes, whatever you want to call them. So enough introing, let's just get into it. Let's just get into the meat of the video. So first things first, we have from Chris here. He says, too much water is a valid bullet point complaint about wild and trainer Pokemon variety, but people would rather laugh at it than think about it. So I'm assuming here he's referring to the whole meme of how IGN gave Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire 7.8 out of 10, and it just said 7.8 out of 10, too much water. And it's a joke and stuff like that. And I mean, I think if it were any other Pokemon game, you would be absolutely right. But with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and just Ruby and Sapphire in general, the game is literally land versus water. There has to be a lot of water. And maybe he's also talking about the fact that there's a lot of water type Pokemon. I think part of it is just because obviously in real life, most of the Earth is made up of water, right? So of course, Pokemon is based off of our world. There's going to be a lot of water, no matter what. Yeah, there's a lot of water type Pokemon, and I really do want them to cut back a bit on some of the water type Pokemon now, because there's only so much you can do with water types. I guess we're still waiting for a dolphin Pokemon or whatever. But yeah. When it comes to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I would say too much water is a perfectly fine argument, except from in the situation where the game is literally land versus water. Gen 5 story is barely different from any other Mons game, and the fact it's lauded as an amazing storyline is laughable, when in any other RPG it would be mocked as terrible and cliche. For me, I don't really play Pokemon for story too much. I like the characters and stuff like that, but I'm not too invested into the story. But I will say, I think Gen 5 I think the reason why people like Gen 5 story more is because Gen 5 does go a bit more in depth. Gen 5, they do a lot more explaining, there's a lot more text in those games, and I think those games were made with the purpose of telling a better story, a more deep emotional story. And yeah, I mean, it is pretty much the same cookie cutter storyline for the most part, but I would say most Pokemon games storyline, they're not the best, but Gen 5 probably is the better of that bunch. Put it this way, it's amazing for Pokemon standards. I think that's a nice way to put it. It's amazing for Pokemon standards. Green shinies are not bad. I don't understand why people hate them. I think it's just because of the mass, how much green shiny Pokemon there are. There are a lot of Pokemon that don't really need to be green, but they just are, like Stantler, Ursaring. Now, I'm not saying they look bad. I think the reason why people have a bad taste in their mouth, there's Espeon as well, is just because there's just so many of them that are just made green when other colors would look cooler or different, or they could have done any other color. It's just like how a lot of water types turn purple. Mudkip, Spiel, Clamperl, they go from blue to purple, and it's just, I understand it was because of color limitations, And purple to blue to purple isn't as bad, I guess, as green. I think it's just because green. I guess it would be because green is just it's a very strange color for a deer or a bear. A bear to be. Gen 7 Pokemon are extremely forgettable and trash, except from the Tapus, Ultra Beasts, and Mimikyu. Cookie Man, that is definitely a hot take. I think Gen 7 Pokemon are actually some of, if not the best designed Pokemon to date. I think for me, the only reason I would see myself forgetting Generation 7 Pokemon is just because of how many Pokemon there are now. There are 800 plus Pokemon. We're probably going to be about 900 plus by the time Sword and Shield comes out later this year. There's a lot of Pokemon to remember, and of course, the longer the Pokemon's been with us, the easier they are to remember because it's been out longer, so you're aware of its existence longer. So Gen 7 is the latest gen. Of course, some of them are going to be forgettable because they're new, and to be honest, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Sun and Moon, they don't have the best replayability. And so the only places you're ever able to play with Gen 7 Pokemon are in games that aren't really the most fun to replay through multiple times. Whereas, when I was younger, Fire Red, Leaf Green, I would blitz through that game like 3 or 4 times in a year. Pokemon Go is a very fun standalone game, and you can enjoy the main series and competitive as well as Pokemon Go. That's literally just me inside of a tweet. I like main series Pokemon games, I love Pokemon battling, and I love Pokemon Go. I play literally all 3 of those. I play side series. I basically consume mostly everything Pokemon related besides the trading card game. I try to watch the anime, but it is hard to keep up to date with that stuff. I've got way too much stuff to watch. But yeah, there's actually a really good video by a guy called Chaseface that basically goes in depth. Like, Pokemon Go isn't really a Pokemon game. It's a mobile game just masked with Pokemon. And I agree with it to an extent, and I definitely recommend you do check that out. Actually, if you would like to, I could leave a link to it. But despite that being the case, I still think Pokemon Go is very fun, especially with the new camera feature. Like, it's coming together. It's only taken them about 3 years, but the game is finally feeling a bit more complete and a really good experience to just have on your phone at all times. 90s/early 2000s kids make you feel like if you didn't get into it when you were younger, it's never worth getting into now because you're not a real fan or whatever. Experienced it from people I know IRL. I have heard similar things like this. People being like, there's no point of getting into it now, or more so, I've heard people thinking there's no point of them getting into Pokemon now because I guess they've got all these games to catch up and play. But here's the beauty of Pokemon is that since, most games are, I guess, the same formula, you don't have to play any in any specific order. I mean, the only ordered Pokemon game is Pokemon Black and then Pokemon Black and White 2. I mean, you can probably still play Black and White 2 before Black and White 1, and it will still be a fun, enjoyable experience. Pokemon doesn't have a super deep story like Kingdom Hearts or anything. You can jump on you don't even need to play the Pokemon games to be a Pokemon fan. You can watch the Pokemon anime and only enjoy that, and you're a Pokemon fan. In my eyes, if you enjoy any form of Pokemon, even if you only like Pikachu, you're a Pokemon fan. I hate this whole gatekeeping thing. When Pokemon Go was first a thing, people were like, oh man, look, all these fake Pokemon fans, they don't know anything about Pokemon. People feeling like, I don't know, gatekeeping is the best way I can describe it. I say, if you want to, just play, just enjoy Pokemon. Like, you don't have to play all the games. You don't have to consume all the media. You don't have to be knowledgeable about everything. Just play Pokemon and enjoy it. I saw a lot of meme replies. I just wanted to drop some stuff I think about sometimes. So we got a bigger image from Caleb here. He says, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire isn't anywhere as bad as people make it out to be. Its biggest problems were longevity and lack of new additions. Even then, it's a solid remake. But it would have been better if it was released in Gen 7 because of what they did with HMs. Because goddamn, that stuff is HM heavy as heck. I'm trying not to swear, Caleb, goddammit. Longevity in Pokemon plays such a huge part in the long run. Example, X and Y. People say they hate that game, but they never mean the X and Y era. Everyone who's playing it is probably the most fruitful time Pokemon has been in terms of content and the community engagement. Also, it makes sense that people dislike X and Y because the potential that the games had outmatched the content that was in the game. Yeah, I think that is very well said. Omega Ruby and Sapphire. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I see a lot of people in my replies right now saying that they were bad. They were bad remakes. Pokemon Emerald is better. I think Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were good, and I will agree with you. They probably would have been better in Generation 7. Actually, the HM stuff was pretty annoying, and you know, having the HM mechanics of Gen 7 would have probably made them a little bit less tedious. As for X and Y, I don't hate X and Y. I think X and Y were really good. One of my biggest issues with X and Y were just the rivals. The rivals were just lame. I think X and Y era was the most fruitful time Pokemon has been in for sure. That's when, you know, Pokebank, before Pokebank was a thing, nobody could gen any Pokemon because the 3DS wasn't hacked yet. So we had people breeding legitimate Pokemon, and that was, I think that was a better time. I think Pokemon where you have to legitimately get them and obtain them is, I think that's when Pokemon is in its most fun. And I'm hoping Sword and Shield can stop hacking. I know it's rich coming from me, but I genuinely think Pokemon is the most fun when you're not able to hack. Even if Sword and Shield is able to be hacked, and there is hacked Pokemon, I really hope that Pokemon are as easy to obtain as in Let's Go. Getting competitive Pokemon in Let's Go is such a breeze. I did the entire WBE competitive battle league with legitimate Pokemon. I didn't gen at all. I went out and that was one of the rules of the league, was to go out and, you know, get legitimate Pokemon, and I did that because it's easy to get good IV Pokemon, and I really hope Sword and Shield to make it easy to obtain good IV Pokemon, because if it does, I will probably just play legitimately and not bother hacking. Probably not a hot take, but the online structure of X and Y was convenient and amazing, and I'm still peeved that they significantly downgraded with a more cumbersome moving to Gen 7. Yeah, I think that's just a big agree. Festival Plaza's garbage. Online structure of X and Y was great. You could literally be walking through a route and somebody will challenge you to a battle or offer a trade with you. It was on your bottom screen. It was just really convenient and good. Lotad says, I really like timer balls. Now, the only reason I put this in here is because the thing about Pokeballs with me is, like, I'm all about aesthetics and stuff. Timer balls are very ugly, but I like them in that they are probably the most useful type of ball. You know, if a battle's been going on for a while, a timer ball will snag you the Pokemon. Timer balls are the most reliable, but they're ugly. Gen 7 gets an ungodly amount of hate, much of it undeserved. People always beg for something different from Pokemon, and Gen 7 and 5 did that and they get hated on. I wish cutscenes were skippable as much as anyone, but that doesn't make it bad. No, you can't do randomizer LPs of it over and over like past gens, but that's not the point. In my opinion, Gen 7 isn't just a game to mash through, it's an experience, like a once or twice a year game, like Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, my favorite game ever, for example. This is actually a take I've never seen anybody have, and I think I'm with you on that, actually. I played Generation 7 about 7 times when it first came out. I played it about 7 times within the first year of release, and that did burn me a bit. And then obviously the year after, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon came out, so I had to play that yet again. And, you know, I will say I am a bit burned on Generation 7 right now, but I can definitely see myself going back to it in a few years from now, being like, you know what? These games are actually good. I think you're right. I think these games are different, and they're not like other Pokemon games where you can just mash through them. Like, you know, like currently I'm playing through Black and White 2 with Patty, and I'm just mashing through it, having a good time with my friend. With Gen 7, there's constant cutscenes, and yeah, they should have been skippable, and future Pokemon games will probably have skippable cutscenes, but the games aren't bad. They just weren't meant for speedrunning through, I guess. You know, they're a different breed of games, and I think they are good. They have some things that they could have done better, like Z moves are garbage. That's just an opinion, obviously, but yeah, I like that take. I think that's a really good take. Anyways, that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Hopefully you guys liked the idea that I stole from Anthony Fantano. A big fan of his. And I figured, you know, I'm very opinionated about Pokemon. You guys are probably very opinionated. let's just talk about Pokemon. So if you guys want to see me do this again, then leave a like on the video, let me know in the comments down below. Feel free to leave some of your own hot takes and opinions in the comments. I'll probably mainly get them from Twitter. I'll probably refer back to that original tweet I made, actually, because I made that tweet and it got like 300 replies within the first hour, and I only replied to 14 of them here, so I've got a few more that I can dig through. Anyhow, thanks so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed, leave a like in the video, and I will catch you in the next one.